What's up, guys? It's Kictor, and welcome to the reading for book 3. I feel like in the past, I have reread Mdzs a couple times. I remember reading it to Stitch when I would first go and visit her, like a long time ago. But I don't remember book 3 as much. Like, I remember it from the Untamed and the Donghua and stuff, but I don't remember the book as much. So I'm very excited. Very excited. Hello, Emma. Hello, Cats, Cows, K Moment, the Wizard of Moss. Kate, how are you feeling? Are you feeling any better? K Moment says, who's got popcorn? Ooh, I want popcorn. I was so hungry today. I ate 9 billion snacks today. Rin says, hi, Kictor. I recently subbed, and this is my first time catching you live. I'm super excited. Oh, thank you so much. I hope you have a good time today at the live. Today, Stitch and I went to a garden to take some pictures of her Mao Mao cosplay from Apothecary Diaries. And while we were there, this really nice person came up to us, and I think they first recognized Stitch's cosplay and then was like, wait, are you Kictor? And I was like, oh my god, yeah, we took a picture together, and they were really, really nice. So if you're watching, hello, you are very kind. But that was so funny. I was like, oh my god, I was not expecting to be recognized here at this random garden. But yeah, Stitch looked amazing. Go check out her Instagram story if you want to see what she looked like. Yeah, she looks really good. It was a really nice garden in the shade and the sunlight coming through the trees. We got some really nice pictures. Kate says, somehow I feel worse than yesterday, but my husband's sick now, so at least I'm not suffering alone. Oh god, I'm so sorry, Kate. I hope you guys get better soon. That's awful. Wizard of Moss says, I have 3 packages to open. One from Kictor's shop, one from Kate's shop, and a box from Spark Major. Oh my god! Oh my god, that's so lovely. The Danmei trifecta. That is very, very exciting. Thank you so much for buying something from my shop. I have to mention it as well. I posted the link in the top of the chat. If you would like to buy something from my merch store, you can use the code FALL10 for a discount, and I will thank you live if you do it while I am live. It should appear on the screen if you buy something, so thank you so much. We have our new Danmei book club tote bag, and of course all the old stuff like the Red String of Fate shirts and mugs are still on there too. Guy also got their package from my shop. Thank you so much, Guy. Who is excited for book 3? Honestly, like last night's book club was so much fun. Like it was so fun just chatting with everyone about all the threes and jokes, and it's just such a good part in the book. So I'm excited. Briarbox says, hi, Kictor. Kenzie and I are chilling in the hotel room. Only 10 more hours of driving. I will be very happy when this is all done. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. I saw you were at Mount Rushmore. I don't even know where that is. That's crazy. Oh my god, such a long drive. But I hope you can have fun and relax in your hotel tonight at the very least. Jessica, I don't think I will be adding those designs to the shop. I don't think so, because I want to be able to order samples of everything from the new shop, and right now it's pretty expensive to order the samples, and it'll take a while. But I do really like the cloud shirt. I'd like to get the cloud shirt back up there, but I don't have a timeline for it yet. It's in South Dakota. Okay, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cookielicious says, did you see that Meat Bun is writing a new extra for Case File? I did see that, and I think it's like ancient, like Chinese version, right? I'm like, is that just Teshi and Jun? I'm so excited. I'm very excited. Oh, Jessica, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jessica. Did you see pictures of the stickers? I don't know if I did. What I did see, though, is that there's like a tea, like a tea you can buy at like an Asian grocery store that has a collab with Modazushi, and we have a couple different Asian grocery stores here, and they sell that brand of tea. So I'm like, we gotta go hunting for it. If we can get the one with Wongshin, the Wongshin iced tea, like, oh my god. So that's what I've got my eye. I'm like, maybe tomorrow Stitch and I can go out and do some shopping. We need to get groceries, so we can pop in. Annika says, I just learned about her usability and I'm already terrified how that's gonna be used. 5 books in and they've barely ever used it. They've used it once for good. But I can only imagine. Briarbox says, hi, Kenzie here, hijacking the computer, but I was so excited for Mount Rushmore. That's cool. I've heard that it's smaller than like it seems in pictures. Would you agree? Or was it huge in person? Kate says, I need to finish QJJ because Case File comes out next week and I'm probably gonna get it like tomorrow. Oh yeah, because of the pre-orders on Indigo or whatever. The picture for the cover of the next Case File is like wild. Like Shay Ching Chung's like bouncing on it. Like, oh my god. Miss Malice just got back from a cruise to the Bahamas. Oh my god. And you finished Modazushi while on the beach. That's fucking awesome. Oh my god. I'm just gonna pull up the next Case File picture because it's crazy. For volume 6. We definitely getting demonetized with this one. I can't believe this. Oh shit. Look at that. Sorry. Like, oh my god, you can't be looking that angry while you're bouncing on it. Oh man. Ugh. Yeah, they're in a car. Annika says, I guess I was just expecting more debauchery from Meat Bun. Yeah. Yes. Don't worry, there's plenty without it. Just don't mention ball shaving. Vickwing said, did you and Stitch finish the Yonli soup? We finished all of the soup that we refrigerated, and we still have one big, like, bucket of it in the freezer. For, like, a really cold winter day. Because, yo, is anybody else? It's still, like, summer here. Like, it's a little bit cooler in the shade, you can tell, but it was still hot today. It was, like, 26 today. QJJ5 video was demonetized, yes, so I don't get any money from that video, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna take it down. People can still watch it for fun. Stitch was like, we live in such a beautiful place, like in Vancouver. There's still flowers blooming, everything is so green. And she's like, because she's from Montana, she's like, sometimes in September it's like the dead of winter already. Like, sometimes it can fucking snow this early on. Oh, Leo, I hope you're okay. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh my gosh, that must be scary being in the ER. But I'm glad you're hooked to an IV. I hope you can get better soon. Briarbox says, it's warm here in South Dakota. Yeah, it looked warm. B says, Stitch is from Montana? Yeah. I used to go visit her there all the time. Montana is also extremely beautiful. But yeah, it's just the winter be cold. Gee, I'm sorry to hear about the blood mites. Oh yeah, also, okay, pop quiz. Do you guys know what wife beam means? And if you do, how do you know that term? Yes, no. Miku beam. Yes, wife beam. Okay, yes, the Wizard of Moss and Shilin Height. Right? Okay, so I've been saying, like, wife beam whenever, like, I think Stitch is doing something, like, where she's just so beautiful. I'm like, your wife beam is too strong. Because I'm using it in the context of, like, she's so gorgeous, she's so perfect, I'm, like, so attracted to her. It's like, like, the wife beam is affecting me, you know? And today I looked it up, I'm like, where's this from? And if you look on Urban Dictionary, it's from Scumvillain. Literally, the Urban Dictionary first thing for wife beam is that Shenjingto's wife beam is so strong, even Lochinga's all over him. I'm like, I swear I've heard this, like, outside the Danmei fandom, but yeah. This is his wife beam. I love using it, though. Wife beam strong. Now everybody's remembering it. Briarbox says, oh yeah, that is why I remember that. Jessica says, I feel like I've heard of it in the anime verse as well. Yeah, right? Shenjingto's legacy is secure. I know, I'm not crazy. I literally googled wife beam. The term the Scumvillain self-saving fandom used to describe self-appointed straight man Shenjingto's abilities to attract men in the Pride Immortal Demon Way universe he transmigrated into. Not even Lochinga could escape Shenjingto's wife beam to Lobingha's displeasure. And it was written, that was posted December 29th, 2022 by Shenjingto wife beam. So this person came in with an agenda. They came in with an agenda to post the wife beam. Aw, casual dodge. That's nice to hear. I'm glad I could keep you some company. They do sound a teeny bit biased. It's free real estate. Casual Dodge says, I also 100% heard wife beam from Scumvillain first. That's so funny. Sienna says, I'm playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Oh, nice! I thought Stitch might like that game. I don't think she's played it yet, though. Right now, we're still fucking up Pikmin Bloom. I'm obsessed. I ran a 5K today. I'm like 12,000 steps today. I have 1 billion Pikmin. It's awesome. The game, it, like, counts your steps, and, like, every certain amount of steps you do, you hatch new Pikmin. So yeah, I'm killing it. It motivated. I was like, I could run on the treadmill or I could go outside, and it motivated me to go outside, and I ran almost 6K today. So yeah, I'm winning at life. I am. I got the Pikmin. I got the wife beam. Hi, Tina. Hey, Esper Lady, how are you doing today? K Moment says, it sounds romantic, but once connected to Scumvillain, it takes on a personal shadow. Yeah, yeah. Mad Kitty's Tobin says, I found out last night why Jiggy is so popular with the land boy. Man, that lad in a pair of tights, white jeans is scary. It looks like he was seriously packing Lanjan's umbrella. Holy cow, Mad Kitty. That was an incredible message to read. Oh, Cats Cows won't be at game night because you're taking your students to a big fair trip for 4 days. Oh, that's fun, though. That's exciting. I hope you have fun at the fair. Esper Lady says, I'm doing great. Nice to hear. Guang Hui says, I started reading Arha last week and then forgot about it because of school, and I read it again today. I have books 1 to 5, and I'm laughing so much. Right? Arha is so funny. It's really funny. It's so funny, then it's terribly sad, but it's also... I feel like Meat Bun does a really good job of balancing the sadness with comedy. Ooh, Sienna won't be at game night because you'll be camping. Ooh, Tobermory. I don't know what that is, but... it's beautiful. That's awesome. Very exciting. I did camp. I went camping once this summer, but we camped in our car because there was a bear at the campsite. Cat's Cow says we run a petting zoo with our school animals. Oh, that's so sweet. Briarbuck said, it's funny even when it's sad. Well, that one scene wasn't very funny. But then the scene after that was pretty funny. Tashi Jun. When that psychopathic little freak, I just love him. He's trying his best. Even though if he's not quite too sure what his best is. Ooh, Annika's going to a con. Oh my goodness, no one's gonna be at game night. It's crazy. Hey, maybe this will finally be the time if some people want to play Gartic Phone or Frantic Fanfic and they haven't gotten in yet. There'll be less people, so there's more chances to get in. Briarbox says, I would love to be insulted by him. Yes. Yes. Give me Tashi and Jun. Esper Lady will be at game night. Hell yeah. Thank you, Esper Lady. It'll be good. It'll be good. It's only Tuesday today, though, right? I usually have hockey on Tuesdays, but since I played on Sunday, I don't have it today. But tomorrow I'm going to watch hockey. And then Thursday, Stitch is doing a little mushroom photo shoot. And then we're hanging out with some friends watching some, I think we're watching Interview with the Vampire, I think? Or some other spooky stuff. Yeah. Esper Lady says, I got you. Thank you. I feel it. Thank you so much. Your support really makes me feel so good, Esper Lady. Woo, little mushroom. Yeah. Sumo says, I will be at game night. I will fuck up the game though, so I'm gonna watch. Aha. We're thinking of you, Sumo. I hope that you're doing okay. Briarbox says, Kenzie would love to bully Tashi and Jun to tears still. And we will be at game night. We will be home by then, I think. Oh, good! Oh my goodness, I can't wait to hear. You gotta tell us all about your travels in detail. I'm very excited. Kate says, I'm drawing little mushroom stuff. I'm debating between Anja and Lu Feng or Wang Xin for my weekly not safe for week art. Not safe for the week. The whole week, it's not safe. That's Kate's Patreon. Not safe for the whole week. Yes, I feel like, dude, there's like no little mushroom art in this world. You have to help the masses. Gotta wait for the weekend to look at the art, yeah. Alright, Briarbox, have a good nap. Okay, should we dive into this book? I'm excited to find out what happens next. You did what to Lu Feng? It's like a reward. Alright, okay. I'm pretty sure we're diving into an insane flashback. We don't have CSCL to give to recap. But the recap. What happened? Last end of book 2. Wei Wuxian found Li Mingjue's head in Jing Guanyao's chambers. When they went to confront him, he had hidden it and put in its place a magical dagger and was like, oh, Arga, you came in here to... Oh my god, CSCL! I summoned you! you so much. Oh my god, you donating is so kind. Thank you, CSCL. Recap. Ni Mingjue's death ends flashback. Qishan asked to see Jing Guanyao's secret chamber. No head. Just Qin Su. And a knife. Sui Bian gives Wei Wuxian away. Lan Wangji stands by his man. Jinling stabs Wei Wuxian. Wei Wuxian remembers something. Yes, because Wei Wuxian has not been remembering anything. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you, CSCL. I would have forgotten the part about Jinling stabbing him. Oh my god. Kate says CSCL gives the best recaps. Truly. Thank you so much. They go into the chamber and Jing Guanyao has his little moment where he's like, Arga, you really thought that like I would kill Ni Mingjue? If I did, I would do a much better job at hiding the body. And Lan Qichen feels so guilty. He feels so bad. And then Wei Wuxian didn't realize this, but when he grabbed his sword, which Jing Guanyao had, it proved he was the Yiling Patriarch in Mo Xianyu's body because only Wei Wuxian's soul could open the sword. And so everyone's like, oh fuck, and it was the perfect distraction, even though Jing Guanyao, like, weirdly had Qin Su in his secret chamber, and then she killed herself. No one cares about that. Everyone's just like, holy fuck, the Yiling Patriarch is here. And then him and Lan Wangji run away, and Wei Wuxian's like, dude, if you follow me, it's gonna ruin your reputation. And Lan Wangji just steadfastly is like, I'm with you, I'm not fucking leaving. And that, like, shifts something in Wei Wuxian's heart. Like, it really, really, like, he's having feelings of love now. He may not still know it's, like, love, but he has, like, it's, like, the feelings of love, you know? And he remembers that, like, back when everybody thought he was the best, Lan Wangji was the one who rebuked him and warned him. And then when everybody hated him, Lan Wangji was the one who stood by his side. So he's always been there, like, hoping for the best for Wei Wuxian. And now, once again, even when there's literally, like, a horde of people chasing after him, and this is gonna, like, ruin their lives, Lan Wangji decided to stay with him. And Jinling stabs Wei Wuxian, and it stabs him in, like, a non-fatal part of his body. And, then he says he remembers something. And that's where we are now. We're gonna be in a flashback forever. Orion, right? I know. I was thinking about how funny that would be. They're like, wait, Wei Wuxian, how does this prove... Yeah, Wei Wuxian's like, I can't... I know we've been talking about no spoilers, but I'm like, does the majority of people here know, like, the big spoiler? Like... Just know Orion. I think that's so funny. He opens it and is like, ah. And everyone's like, what? I guess it's not that special. Okay. Alright. Let's jump in. Okay, we got a new interior picture too. Look at this. So cute with the little bunny. Oh, I love that Lan Wangji loves bunnies. It's very sweet. I love that he loves bunnies, and, like, Wei Wuxian is not very bunny-like, you know? I mean, you could. I guess he's kind of bunny-like. I don't know. Would you say Wei Wuxian is very bunny-like? All right, Chapter 11, Supreme Courage, Part 1. Yunmeng was a region replete with lakes, so it was only natural that the residents of the most prominent cultivation clan in the area, the Zheng clan of Yunmeng, lay amongst the waters. That residence was known as Lotus Pier. If one were to depart Lotus Pier and row along with the current, it wouldn't take long to arrive at a large lake with a surfeit of lotuses, known as Lotus Lake. Pink blossoms with broad jade-green leaves rose from the depths of the lake, whose waters spanned hundreds of kilometers. When a breeze brushed past, the flowers swayed and quivered like they were nodding, giving the lovely scenery of a sort of charming innocence. Unlike other immortal residences, Lotus Pier was not far removed from the secular world. Ordinary folk were barred from even setting foot on the grand estates of other cultivation clans, but outside Lotus Pier's main entrance were often a variety of small vendors doing roaring business in lotus pods, water chestnuts, and all sorts of pastries. Local children with snotty noses also sneaked into the drilling grounds to secretly spy on the disciples' sword training. Even when they were inevitably discovered, they weren't reprimanded. In fact, they were sometimes allowed to play with the Zheng sect disciples. When Wei Wuxian was young, he often shot kites by the shores of Lotus Lake. Zheng Cheng kept a keen eye on his own kite, but kept peeking at Wei Wuxian's too. Wei Wuxian's kite was already high in the sky, but he showed no sign of intending to reel it back. He shaded his eyes with his right hand and grinned up at it, seeming to think the kite still hadn't flown far enough. Seeing how his own kite was about to fly out of the range where he was certain he could shoot it down, Zheng Cheng clenched his teeth and knocked an arrow on his bow. He released the bowstring, and the white feathered arrow shot forth with a whizzing sound. His kite was painted to resemble a strange one-eyed monster. When the arrow hit its mark, the kite fell to the earth. Zheng Cheng was clearly pleased, and his expression relaxed. "Bullseye!" he exclaimed, then quickly asked, "Yours has already flown far. Can you still manage to hit it?" "Place your bets," Wei Wuxian said. Only then did he nock an arrow. He focused and aimed, drawing the bowstring to its full span. With a snap of his fingers, he let the arrow fly. Bullseye! Zheng Cheng's brow wrinkled again, and he let out a snort. The group of boys packed up their bows and ran over to pick up their kites and tally their results. The one whose kite had fallen the nearest to the starting point was ranked in last place. Liu Shidi, the sixth eldest of the Shidi, earned this spot every time. He was teased with good-natured laughter as always, but he had very thick skin and didn't care in the slightest. Wei Wuxian's kite had landed the farthest away. Right behind him, in second place, was Zheng Cheng's. Is Liu Qingga in this universe and he just sucks? The two of them, feeling lazy that day, decided against running all the way out to pick up their kites. The group of boys charged onto the 9-turn bridge that floated above the surface of the water like a blooming lotus, and were horsing around, leaping and flying off walls and roofs, when two lithe, graceful young women made an appearance. The two women were both dressed as combat-ready handmaids, and each wielded a short sword. The taller of the two stopped the boys and presented the kite and arrow she held. "To whom do these belong?" she coldly asked. The boys all silently cursed at the sight of the two women. Wei Wuxian stroked his chin and stepped forward. "They're mine." The other handmaid humphed. "Well, aren't you honest?" The two handmaids each moved to one side. Behind them was a woman dressed in purple and bearing a sword. The woman was fair of skin and fine in appearance, with noble eyes, but there was a sharpness to her features, and her lips were always curled into the ghost of a sneer. It was the look of a born cynic, and thus very similar to Zheng Cheng. Her waist was slim, and her purple robes flowed gracefully as she moved. Her face and the right hand resting on the hilt of her sword were both as cold as jade, and on that hand's index finger was a ring adorned with a purple crystal. Zheng Cheng smiled at the sight of her. "Mom!" Conversely, the rest of the boys greeted her with great respect. "Madame Yu." Madame Yu was indeed Zheng Cheng's mother, Yu Zijuan. She was, of course, also Zheng Fengmian's wife, and the two of them had once been cultivation peers. Although she should have been known as Madame Zheng, everyone always called her Madame Yu. There was much speculation that Madame Yu disliked using her husband's surname due to her strong personality, but the couple never commented on the gossip either way. Madame Yu came from the renowned Yu clan of Meishan, and was the third oldest of her siblings. Thus, she was also known as San Niangzi, third girl. In the cultivation world, she was known as the Purple Spider. Just speaking that name aloud could strike fear into the hearts of many. Even in her youth, she possessed a cold personality and disliked fraternizing with others, so interactions with her were rarely pleasant. Even after marrying Zheng Fengmian, she didn't enjoy being cooped up at Lotus Pier, but spent most of her time venturing out into the wide world on night hunts. Moreover, her living quarters at Lotus Pier were separated from those of Zheng Fengmian. Ooh. Her quarters formed a private area that housed herself and the relatives she had brought with her from the Yu clan. The two young women with her now were named Jinzu and Yinzu, both handmaids and trusted aides who never left her side. Madame Yu sent a look at Zheng Cheng. "Horsing around again? Come, let me have a look at you." Zheng Cheng scurried over, and Madame Yu squeezed his arm with her slender fingers before giving him a sound slap on the shoulder. "Not a bit of progress in your cultivation. You're almost 17 and still acting like an ignorant child, running around with this lot, doing mischief all day. Do you think you're the same as them? Hell knows which gutters they'll be crawling in the future, but you'll be the leader of the Zheng clan." Oof. Damn. He's not allowed to have fun. Zhang Zheng staggered from the force of her slap. He hung his head, not daring to argue back. Wei Wuxian needed no confirmation to know that she was passive-aggressively insulting him again. One of his shidis secretly stuck his tongue out at him, and Wei Wuxian arched his eyebrow in response. That bitch, man! I can respect her, but I hate that she was so mean to Zhang Zheng. Sienna, she is Spider-Woman. Oh yeah, she is hot in the Donghua. I agree. Wei Ying, what are you up to now? As always, Wei Wuxian stepped forward, and Madame Yu continued to scold him. Acting like this again! Even if you don't strive for any kind of personal improvement, don't drag Zhang Cheng into your nonsense and lead him astray. I don't strive for improvement? Wei Wuxian looked astonished. I thought I was the most advanced student at Lotus Pier. Young people never liked to be scolded. They just had to talk back. Madame Yu looked murderous, but Zhang Cheng quickly intervened. Wei Wuxian, shut up! He turned to Madame Yu. It's not that we want to laze around Lotus Pier shooting kites, but no one can go anywhere right now, can they? The Wen clan claimed all the night hunt districts as their own when they draw their boundaries. Even if I wanted to go night hunting, there's nowhere to go. Didn't you and father tell us to stay home instead of going in search of prey and provoking the Wen clan's wrath? Madame Yu snorted. It seems you're going to have to go whether you like it or not, this time. Zhang Cheng looked puzzled, but Madame Yu had already dropped the subject and stalked off down the long bridge with her head held high. The two handmaids shot death glares at Wei Wuxian before following. Zhang Cheng was a little bit bitchy back to his mom. When evening came, they learned what she had meant. The Wen clan of Qishan had sent an envoy with a message. It proclaimed that, due to the other clan's incompetence, the talent and potential of new disciples was being wasted. Therefore, the Wen clan demanded that every one of these offending clans send at least 20 sect disciples to Qishan within 3 days. These disciples would be personally educated by specialists selected by the Wen clan. Zhang Cheng was flabbergasted. The Wens actually said that? That's completely shameless! They think they're the sun in the sky, shining down on all the other clans, Wei Wuxian drawled. It's not like this is the first time the Wens have acted brazenly. They've been brandishing their size and power since last year, when they forbade other clans from going on night hunts. Look at how much prey they've landed. Look at how much prey and land they've stolen. From the head of the hall, Zhang Fengmian chastised him. Mind your words, eat your food. Only 5 of them were seated in the massive hall, each with a small square table laden with dishes in front of them. Wei Wuxian looked down. He had only just moved his chopsticks when he felt a tug on his sleeve and turned and saw Zhang Yanli pass him a small plate. There were a number of lotus seeds upon it, the nuts plump and white, fresh and full, and freshly peeled just for him. Thanks, Shijie, Wei Wuxian whispered. Zhang Yanli responded with a smile, which added some vibrant color to her pleasantly unassuming appearance. What food? Yu Ziyuan spat coldly. Who knows if they'll be given anything to eat once they arrive at Qishan? Why not let them starve now so they get used to it? Like, girl. Really? Really? The Wen clan of Qishan's demand was one they could not refuse. There were countless examples of the fate that awaited any clan audacious enough to defy their orders. Such clans were declared guilty of any number of arbitrary criminal charges, like rebellion or menace to the cultivation world, and then openly and justifiably eradicated. Why so distressed? Zhang Fengmian asked calmly. No matter what the future holds, today's meal still needs to be eaten. Madame Yu tried to hold herself back, but could not. She smacked her palm on the table. Why so distressed? Because to be distressed is to have sense. How can you be so indifferent at a time like this? Did you not hear what the Wen envoy said? Their lowly maid dared to act all high and mighty in front of me. The 20 disciples being sent must include representatives of the core family. Do you know what that means? Acheng or Ali, one of them must be included. Why are they being sent? For education? Who are the Wens to dictate how other sects educate their juniors? Sending the children plays right into the Wens' hands. They'll make hostages of them. Don't be mad, Mom, Zhang Cheng tried to interrupt. Just me alone is enough. Of course you're the one going, Madame Yu scolded him. As if your JJ can go. Look at her, still peeling lotus seeds so cheerfully. Ali, stop peeling. Who are you peeling them for? You're a lady, not someone's servant. It's like the feminism in her is so wrongly placed because Yanli clearly loves doing homemaker activities. Wei Wuxian heard that pointed word, servant, but didn't care. He gobbled up all the lotus seeds on his plate in one go, mouth filled with refreshing sweetness as he chewed. However, Zhang Fengmian looked up. San Niang. Am I mistaken? Madame Yu snapped. You don't like the sound of that word, servant? Let me ask you, Zhang Fengmian, do you plan on having him go? It depends on what he wants, Zhang Fengmian replied. He can go if he wants to. Wei Wuxian raised his hand. I'll go. How lovely, Madame Yu snorted. Go if you want to, but you won't be forced if you don't. Why is Cheng the one who has to go? Raising someone else's son like this, sect leader Zheng. What a good, generous man you are. Like, this is such a fucked up family dinner. Like, they're literally in front of them being like, I fucking hate Wei Wuxian. Like, why'd you raise him? God. There was resentment in her heart, and all she wanted was to set it free, heedless of whether her venting had either sense or reason. The others remained quiet, letting her blow off steam. San Nyangzi, you're tired, said Zhang Fengmian. Why don't you go back and rest? Zhang Cheng, still sitting in his own spot, looked up at her. Mom? Madame Yu rose to her feet and sneered. What are you calling me for? Trying to be like your father and tell me to quiet down? You're an idiot. I've already told you. You'll never be able to compare to the one sitting next to you. You can't compete with him when it comes to cultivation, to night hunts, not even shooting a kite. It can't be helped. It's not your fault your mom can't compare to someone else's mom, after all. If you're no match for him, that's just how it is. Your mom is simply indignant on your behalf. How many times have I told you not to hang around with him, and yet you speak up for him? How did I give birth to a son like you? Jeez! Oh my god! Zhang Cheng being told that he just fucking sucks is so awful. She stalked out, leaving Zhang Cheng sitting there with his complexion turning a myriad of colors. Zhang Yanli quietly placed a plate of peeled lotus seeds on his table. I just love the like, yeah, that was really mean. Peeled lotus seeds. Ugh. They sat there for a while before Zhang Fengmian broke the silence. I will select another 18 disciples tonight. You will all depart tomorrow. Zhang Cheng nodded, unsure if he should say anything anymore. He never knew how to talk to his father. You know what's so sad? When he saw his mom arrive, he smiled. And then minutes later, she's calling him an idiot. Zhang Cheng, Wei Wuxian, on the other hand, found it the most natural thing in the world. He finished his soup and asked, Zhang Shushu, is there nothing you want to give us? Zhang Fengmian responded with a smile. I gave them to you long ago, the swords at your sides, and our motto in your hearts. And the fact that Zhang Cheng feels like he can't talk to his own dad, and Wei Wuxian says it's the easiest thing in the world to talk to Zhang Fengmian, like his adopted dad. Like, oh, the complexes Zhang Cheng has. Oh, Wei Wuxian said, attempt the impossible, right? That motto doesn't mean you need to keep causing mischief when you already know you're getting in trouble for it, Zhang Cheng immediately warned him. With that, the mood in the dining hall finally livened up. Prior to their departure the following day, Zhang Fengmian briefed them on necessary matters and then added one last thing. The disciples of the Zheng clan of Yunmeng are not so weak that they cannot withstand a single storm in the outside world. On the other hand, Zhang Yanli followed them well down the road to set them off to her satisfaction, all the while stuffing everyone's arms full of all sorts of dried foods for fear that they wouldn't be able to fill their stomachs at Qishan. The 20 youths departed Lotus Pier heavily laden with foods and arrived at the education office designated by Qishan before the deadline. A great number of disciples from prominent clans had arrived there, all of them juniors. Of the hundreds present, many were familiar faces. They gathered in groups of 3 to 5 and 7 or 8, conversing in hushed voices. None of them seemed to be in a good mood, so they all must have been summoned in not-so-polite ways. After looking around, Wei Wuxian commented, so people from Gusu came too, as expected. For some reason, the boys sent by the land clan of Gusu all looked rather haggard. Lan Wangji looked especially pale, but still wore the same frosty expression that kept most people at arm's length. With his sword Qishan strapped to his back, he stood there all alone with no one else around him. Wei Wuxian wanted to go over and greet him, but Zhang Cheng warned, "Don't start anything!" So he had to abandon the endeavor. Oh my god, right? This part, Lan Wangji is so sad at this part. He's so alone and he's so scared and he's injured. Oh, he's so sad. Suddenly, there was someone ahead loudly issuing orders for the disciples to assemble in proper formation before a tall platform. Several Wen sect disciples walked over to bellow orders. "Quiet, all of you! No talking!" The one standing on the stage wasn't much older than them. He appeared to be about 18 or 19 and clearly considered himself quite important and superior to everyone else present. His face fell on the very borders of the realm of handsome, and the airs he put on were as greasy as his hair. This youth was Wen Chao, the youngest son of the Wen clan's leader. Fuck Wen Chao, man. Wen Chao sucks ass. Wen Chao loved flaunting himself and took every opportunity to posture before other clans, so his face was not unfamiliar to anyone present. Two people stood on either side of him. At his left was an ostentatious young woman with a lithe and graceful figure, large eyes, arched brows, and lips as red as fire. The only blemish on her perfection was a black mole that sprouted above her lips in such an awful spot that it made one constantly itch to pick it off. At his right was a man who looked to be 20 or 30, with a tall, broad build. Indifference shaded his expression, and the air around him was somber and cold. Wen Chao stood high up on the slope, looking smugly down at the crowd as he waved his hand. "As of now, you will turn in your swords!" Uproar erupted amongst the gathered disciples. "A sword never leaves a cultivator's side," someone protested. "Why must we surrender ours?" "Who said that?" Wen Chao demanded. "Which clan are you from? Step forward." The one who had spoken held his tongue out of fear. Quiet returned once more below the platform, and Wen Chao was pleased. "It's precisely because there are still those of you who don't know etiquette, don't understand subordination, don't comprehend the hierarchy among juniors from prominent clans. You are flawed at the root, and so I have resolved to educate you. Already you are so ignorant and fearless. If I don't correct this now, it will result in people vainly challenging the authority of the Wen clan to try and climb above our heads." Everyone knew full well that he demanded their swords with ill intentions, but the Wen clan of Qishan was like the noonday sun, and every other family was teetering on thin ice. No one dared resist them in their slightest. If they should displease the Wen clan in any way, they feared they would be convicted of some crime that would implicate their entire clan. They had no choice but to submit and endure it. Zhang Cheng held Wei Wuxian down. "Why are you restraining me?" Wei Wuxian asked in a low whisper. Zhang Cheng snorted. "In case you start something." "You think too much," Wei Wuxian said. "That guy's so slimy, it makes me sick, but if I wanted to punch him, I wouldn't pick a time like this to bring out our family grief. Relax." "You want to throw a sack over him and beat him up again?" Zhang Cheng asked. "That won't work. You see the man next to Wen Chao?" "Yeah," Wei Wuxian replied. "He's got high cultivation, but he looks aged, so he must have started training later in life." "That man is named Wen Julio," Zhang Cheng explained, "also known as Core Melting Hand. He's Wen Chao's personal attendant, and here specifically to protect him. Don't provoke him." "Core Melting Hand?" Wei Wuxian wondered. "That's right," Zhang Cheng said. "Those hands of his are frightening, and he aids those evildoers. In the past, he helped Wen..." Core Melting Hand and, like, Zhang Cheng's mom kind of have, like, a thing, right? They'd been conversing in low whispers while facing forward, so when they saw the Wen clan's servant who was collecting swords approach them, they immediately stopped talking. Wei Wuxian effortlessly untied the sword hung at his waist and handed it in. While doing so, he stole a glance over at the Lan clan of Gusu. He thought Lan Wangji would refuse to turn in his sword for sure, but to his surprise, while Lan Wangji's expression remained frighteningly frosty, he nonetheless unfastened his sword. Madame Yu's previous mockery had proved to be a prophecy. While they received education in Qishan, their fare was meager to say the least. All the food Zhang Yanli had stuffed in their arms was confiscated. As none of the young disciples had yet mastered Anidia, this made their lives quite difficult. The so-called education provided by the Wen clan of Qishan consisted of distributing a book entitled Quintessential Records and Quotable Characters of the Illustrious Wen, which was crammed full of heroic tales and quotes from Wen clan leaders and renowned cultivators throughout history. Everyone was given a copy and told to memorize the text as well to recite sight unseen, keeping every single word in mind at all times. Every day, Wen Chao would stand above the crowd, give a speech, and then demand they all cheer for him. Every word they spoke and every action they took had to be inspired by his example. During night hunts, he would command the disciples to scout ahead, clear the path for him, and draw the attention of the nefarious creatures. The others would fight with everything they had until Wen Chao popped up at the last second to land the final easy strike against the Yao beast that they'd essentially already defeated. Then he'd cut off the Yao's head and endlessly boast about how he single-handedly won the trophy for himself. Anyone who rubbed him the wrong way would be singled out and yelled at in front of everyone, scolded so hard they were brought lower than livestock. At the Grand Symposium hosted by the Wen clan of Qishan a year ago, Wen Chao had entered the arena alongside Wei Wuxian and the others during the archery event. He was wholeheartedly convinced he'd win first place and thought it only natural that everyone would concede to him. But of his opening 3 shots, 1 was on target, 1 fell short, and 1 hit a paper doll by mistake. He should have exited the arena immediately, but obstinately refused, and no one had the nerve to tell him off. Once the final tally came out, the top 4 were Wei Wuxian, Lan Qichen, Jin Sijun, and Lan Wangji. And if Lan Wangji hadn't left the event early, he would have achieved an even better score. But Wei Wuxian was fondling his headband. Wen Chao, humiliated, developed a bitter hatred for those 4 in particular. Lan Qichen hadn't been able to make it to this little educational retreat, but Wen Chao unrelentingly harassed the other 3, giving them tongue lashings every day in public. Quite the demonstration of his might. Hi Jay, I hope that you feel better. On the other hand, Lan Wangji looked like his heart was as calm as still water. Oh, my bad, I missed a line. Jin Sijun was the most aggrieved by the whole situation. He was a much cherished child growing up, adored by his parents, and had never suffered such humiliation before. Lily has been a member for 33 months. Thank you so much, Lily. Hi, I wanted to stop by again, even if not for long. Oh, happy that you could stop in. Thank you so much, Lily. Nice to see you today. Thank you so much. If it hadn't been for the other Jin clan disciples holding him back, and if Wen Zhuliu wasn't such a deterrent, Jin Sijun would have charged up to Wen Chao and snuffed out his life even at the cost of his own. On the other hand, Lan Wangji looked like his heart was as calm as still water. He had assumed a state of complete indifference, as if his soul had left his body. Wei Wuxian, meanwhile, had spent years being tongue-lashed by Madame Yu at Lotus Pier. Each time he found himself descending the platform, he would laugh it off without a single care for Wen Chao's pathetic posturing. Bright and early one fateful morning, the juniors were once again driven out of bed by the Wen servants and herded like livestock toward the location of the latest night hunt, Mount Mushi. The deeper they ventured into the mountain, the thicker the branches grew above their heads, and the deeper the shade grew beneath their feet. There was no sound aside from the whispering of leaves and their own footsteps. Swallowed by that dense silence, even birdsong or the chirping of insects seemed unusually loud. Speaking of birdsong, last night Stitch and I went for a walk and we could hear a cat in a tree. And we were like, oh my goodness, is there a cat stuck in a tree? And we get closer and we find the tree and we're looking up at it with flashlights. And there is no cat in this tree, but there is meowing coming from this tree. And then we hear kind of a bird sound and then more meowing. And we're like, huh? And then I look up, is there a bird that can sound like a cat? And yes, Sienna, the gray catbird. It's literally called catbird. And I was like, there's no way. And I looked up if they live where we live, and it's like, yep, they live right in the lower mainland of Vancouver, exactly where we live. So yeah, there is a gray catbird, and it is a bird that sounds like a cat. After a long time, the group happened upon a small, gurgling stream. Scattered maple leaves were carried along by the current. The sound of the water and the color of the maple leaves subtly lifted the oppressive atmosphere. Faint, merry laughter could even be heard up ahead. Aw, everyone loves autumn. As they walked, Wei Wuxian and Zheng Cheng grumbled and cursed the Wen dogs under their breath in every way they could think of. With a careless glance behind him, Wei Wuxian saw a flash of white robes. It was Lan Wangji. He had fallen a little bit behind the group, walking at a fairly slow pace. Wei Wuxian had attempted to draw him into conversation many times over the last few days, wanting to catch up, but alas, every time Lan Wangji saw him, he would turn away. Furthermore, Zheng Cheng had warned him time and time again to not tease Lan Wangji for no reason. Now that the other boy was so nearby, Wei Wuxian couldn't help but unconsciously examine him. Suddenly, he noticed Lan Wangji's gait was strange. He was clearly trying to walk normally, but Wei Wuxian could tell he set his right leg more gingerly to the ground than his left, like he couldn't put any weight on it. At the sight of this, Wei Wuxian slowed his pace and deliberately fell behind to walk by Lan Wangji's side. "What's wrong with your leg?" Lan Wangji's eyes remained fixed ahead. "Nothing." "We're pretty well acquainted, aren't we?" Wei Wuxian wheedled. "So cold, not sparing me a look at all. Is your leg really all right?" "We are not well acquainted," Lan Wangji said. Wei Wuxian spun around to walk backwards, quite determined that Lan Wangji look at his face. "Don't act tough if something's wrong. If your leg is injured, broken, when did it happen?" He was about to ask if Lan Wangji wanted him to carry him, when something fragrant caught his nose. Wei Wuxian craned his neck to look at the path ahead, and his eyes lit up. Seeing him shut up so suddenly, Lan Wangji looked over as well, following his gaze to spot a group of around 5 girls walking together. Oh no. The one in the middle was dressed in a light scarlet outer robe with a thin overcoat. The gauzy fabric fluttered with the gentle breeze and contoured her strikingly lovely figure, and that figure was what had caught Wei Wuxian's eye. My! Mian Mian, that perfume sachet of yours is amazing! Once you took it out, the bugs stopped pestering us in an instant. One of the girls chuckled. The scent is nice too. It clears the mind. When the girl they'd called Mian Mian spoke, her voice was as soft and tender and sweet as the meaning of her name. The sachets are filled with chopped medicinal herbs. There are many uses for them. I've got more sachets here. Do any of you want one? Wei Wuxian glided over like a gust of evil wind. Mian Mian, save one for me too. The girl jumped in surprise at a stranger unexpectedly barging into their conversation. She looked back, revealing a pretty face to match her figure. With a slightly furrowed brow, she demanded, "Who are you? Why are you also calling me Mian Mian?" Wei Wuxian smiled. "I heard them call you Mian Mian, so I thought that was your name. What, is it not?" Lan Wangji looked on with cold indifference. Zheng Cheng noticed Wei Wuxian getting up to his usual nonsense again and rolled his eyes dramatically. Mian Mian blushed and exclaimed, "You can't call me that!" "Why not?" Wei Wuxian asked. "Why don't we all do this, then? Tell me your real name and I won't call you Mian Mian. How's that?" "Why do I have to tell you my name just because you asked?" Mian Mian countered. "Why don't you give me your name before asking others for... why don't you give your name before asking others for theirs?" "My name's Yizzy. Listen closely now." Wei Wuxian beckoned her close. "My name's Yuan Dao." Mian Mian repeated the name twice in her head. She couldn't recall any young masters from prominent clans with that name, but judging by his bearing and manners, this young man didn't appear to be a nobody. Puzzled, she stared at the teasing smile on Wei Wuxian's lips. Suddenly, Lan Wangji's cold, quiet commentary came from beside them. Trifling with diction. Then it hit her. Wei Wuxian was teasing her. It was an allusion to a verse from a historical wartime poem. Mian Mian se yan jiao. Unendingly do I long for my faraway husband. She stomped her foot angrily. Who's longing for you? Shameless! The group of girls fell into giggling laughter. Wei Wuxian, you're so shameless! I've never seen such a pest before! Let me tell you, her name is... Mian Mian pulled them away. Go! Go! None of you are allowed to tell him! I love how Mian Mian was like, fuck you! I'm not telling you my fucking name! Like... Hell yeah! Take a book out of Mian Mian's books! You don't owe a man nothing! As they left, Wei Wuxian called after their retreating backs. It's okay if you leave, but give me a perfume sachet. Come on, are you ignoring me? Not gonna give me one? If you won't, then I'm gonna go ask someone else for your name. Someone will be willing to tell me. A perfume sachet came flying at him before he finished, hitting him squarely in the chest. With a yelp, Wei Wuxian pretended the projectile had pierced his very heart. Whirling the sachet around his finger by its ties, he walked back to Lan Wangji's side, laughing as he did. At the sight of Lan Wangji's increasingly sullen expression, he asked, What? Why are you looking at me like that again? Where were we? Oh yeah! How about I give you a piggyback ride? Lan Wangji regarded him quietly. Do you behave so flippantly toward everyone? Wei Wuxian thought for a moment. Seems that way. Lan Wangji lowered his eyes. It was a moment before he declared, irreverent. It's really funny because it takes Lan Wangji so much to talk to someone, and when he does, it's with so much care and honesty. And Wei Wuxian is a flirt in the way that, like, just because he's flirting with someone doesn't mean that he actually wishes to pursue them. He just can talk, you know? And they're just so opposite in that regard. It's like, ugh. Poor Lan Wangji just being tortured by it. See ya, Miss Malice. The word was spat through gritted teeth and tinged with an inexplicable bitterness. Like, I love how Lan Wangji's like being a bit obvious about it at this point. He's got his guard is down because he's injured, you know? You're only allowed to flirt and tease me. Lan Wangji sped up his pace and arduously walked onward, apparently unable to even spare Wei Wuxian an angry look. Seeing him straining himself again, Wei Wuxian hastily excused himself. Okay, fine. You don't have to run off. I'll go, all right? True to his word, he went up and caught with Zheng Cheng in a few quick strides. But Zheng Cheng wasn't pleasant to him either. He rebuked him savagely. You're so frivolous! You're not Lan Zhan. Why are you copying his commentary? Wei Wuxian asked. That scowl of his today is the worst it's ever been. What's going on with his leg? Zheng Cheng was surly. You don't have time to worry about him. Just mind yourself. Who knows what that idiot Wen Chao is up to, driving us up Mount Mushi to find some cave. I hope whatever he's scheming doesn't go down like that last fight against the tree Yao, making us surround the thing like a meat shield. Of course he looks upset, a sect disciple next to them said in a hushed whisper. The cloud recesses was set ablaze last month. You guys haven't heard yet, I assume? Wei Wuxian was shocked. Set ablaze? Zheng Zheng had heard a lot of similar news over the past day, so he wasn't surprised. The Wens did it? You could say that, the sect disciple said. Or you could also say, the Lans did it themselves. The eldest son of the Wen clan, Wen Chao, went to Gusu and declared the Lan family head guilty of some crime, then forced the Lans to burn down their own residence. They said they were allowing the family to put things in order and be reborn from the flames. Over half of the cloud recesses was reduced to ash, not to mention the surrounding forest, a centuries-old immortal realm, destroyed just like that. The Lan clan family head was heavily injured too. We're not even sure if he's alive. The sect disciple trailed off with a sigh. Does that have anything to do with Lan Zhan's leg? Wei Wuxian asked. Of course it does, the sect disciple replied. The first place Wen Chao ordered them to burn was the library pavilion. He said anybody who disobeyed would be taught a valuable lesson, but Lan Wangji refused to do it, so Wen Chao's subordinates surrounded him and broke one of his legs. They didn't even give him the chance to heal up before dragging him all the way out here. Who knows why they're tormenting us like this? Poor Lan Wangji trying to save the library. Wei Wuxian thought back carefully. Over the past few days, when he wasn't enduring Wen Chao's public verbal abuse, Lan Wangji had indeed rarely walked around. He was always either standing still or sitting down and never spoke a word. It was only natural for someone who valued his composure so highly to hide an injury from others. Zheng Cheng, noticing Wei Wuxian seemed to be drifting in Lan Wangji's direction again, quickly yanked him to a stop. What's with you? You still want to mess with him? You're really asking for it. I'm not gonna mess with him, Wei Wuxian said. Look at his leg. The injury must have gotten worse after all the running around over the past few days. It's only noticeable now because it's gone past the point where he can hide it. If this keeps going, that leg is done for. I'm gonna go carry him. And this is what he remembered, right? Because in the current timeline, Lan Wangji is carrying Wei Wuxian. Zheng Cheng tightened his grip on Wei Wuxian. You're not even that close to him. Do you seriously not see how much he hates you? And carry him? He probably doesn't want you anywhere near him. That's okay. I don't hate him, Wei Wuxian declared. I'll snatch him up before he sees it coming. What's he gonna do? Choke me to death while I've got him on my back? We can't even take care of ourselves right now. We can't afford to get involved in anyone else's business, Zheng Cheng warned. It doesn't concern us. Firstly, it does concern us, Wei Wuxian said. Secondly, someone needs to worry. While the two were quietly arguing, one of the Wen servants came over to yell at them. You two, don't keep whispering to each other. Watch yourselves. Behind the servant was a beautiful, dainty girl. Her name was Wen Chao, and she was one of Wen Chao's personal attendants. No need to specify exactly what kind of personal attendant. Everyone knew. She had been a handmaid in service of Wen Chao's wife, but thanks to her good looks, had climbed into her master's bed after tossing him a few flirtatious glances. With this inadvertent aid from her mistress, the servant thus rose to higher position. Her elevation also saw a new name rise among the cultivation clans, the Wang clan of Yingquan. Hardly a noteworthy name, and yet, thanks to its masters, one that could not be ignored. Her spiritual power was too weak for her to wield a spiritual sword, so she instead carried a long, thin, branding iron in her hand. Every Wen servant carried one of these irons. They could brand an excruciatingly painful mark on a victim's body without needing to be heated first. Wangling Jiao brandished that rod imperiously as she scolded them. Xiao Wen Gongzi told the lot of you to search for the cave. What are you whispering about? Such was the current state of the world. They were taking orders from a smug, arrogant handmaid who had fumbled her way to the top by climbing a ladder made of her mistress's bedsheets. The two of them just didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Just then, someone shouted, "Found it!" Wanglin Jiao immediately lost interest in the two of them and darted over to see. She cried out in happiness when she laid eyes on what had been discovered. "Wen Gongzi, we found it! We found the entrance!" It was a well-concealed underground cave, hidden at the foot of an old banyan tree, wide enough for 3 grown men to encircle it with their arms. Okay, that's so funny. I'm reading Case File right now, and there's also a description of something, and they say it's so wide that 3 grown men could encircle it with their arms. I wonder if that's some kind of Chinese idiom. I could be totally crazy, but the fact that Meat Bun and MXTX also say this exact line for saying the width of something, I feel like I've never heard anybody else really describe the width of something as how many grown men could link arms around it. A B says they say that in Scumvillain too about Jujulang's snake farm. Okay, it must be an idiom or something. That's so funny, B. Thank you for confirming me with this. It's crazy. They hadn't found it sooner because the cave's entrance was very small, less than 2 square meters wide, and the tree's bulky roots and vines had formed a robust webbing that all but blocked the hole. There were also withered branches and fallen leaves layered on the top, including a blanket of dirt and rocks. It was unusually well hidden. Once the rotted branches and soil had been dug away and the roots chopped clear, the eerie, pitch-black interior yawned open before them. The mouth of the cave led deep underground. Blasts of shiveringly cold air whirled from within, and when someone threw a rock in to test, there was not a sound. It was as if it had sunk into the sea. Wen Chao was overjoyed. "This must be it! Go down, all of you, quick!" Jin Sizhuan had really had enough of this. "You brought us here saying it was a night hunt for Yao beasts," he spat tersely. "So might I ask, what kind of Yao beast is this exactly? Inform us now so we can respond to it properly and avoid the last hunt's chaos." "Inform you now?" Wen Chao parroted, sounding offended. He straightened up and pointed at Jin Sizhuan, then himself. "How many times do you need me to tell you before you remember? Make no mistake. You are nothing more than my subordinate cultivators. I am the one giving commands. I don't need anyone else to suggest I do anything. Only I direct operations and mobilize troops, and only I can subdue and defeat Yao beasts." He put particular emphasis on each repetition of "only I." His loud, cocky tone was at once loathsome and ridiculous. "Did you not hear what Wen Gongzi said?" Wangling Jiao scolded. "Go on now." Jin Sizhuan stood at the very front of the group. Suppressing his anger, he flipped back the hem of his robes, caught a stout-looking vine, and hopped into the bottomless hole without a shred of hesitation. For once, Wei Wuxian could truly empathize with him. Whatever nefarious creature might reside inside the cave, it would be far more pleasant to deal with than Wen Chao and his coterie. If Jin Sizhuan had to look at that pair of adulterers for even one more second, he really might just carry out his suicidal murder fantasies. One by one, the rest of the group followed after Jin Sizhuan and entered the underground cave. Okay, but imagine if Jinling did grow up with Jin Sizhuan. If he grew up with Jin Sizhuan, Zheng Cheng, and Jing Guanyao, those are 3 of the most dramatic men known in the Danmei world. Jingling would be crazy. Hi, Xavian. With their swords confiscated, the forcibly assembled team of disciples had no choice but to climb down slowly. The tree's vines grew along the dirt wall and were thick as an infant's wrist, making them quite sturdy. Infant wrist is another form of Danmei measurement I've heard a few times. Wei Wuxian clung to a vine and descended slowly, all the while mentally calculating just how deep the hole might be. They slid for over 100 meters before their feet touched solid ground. Wen Chao called after them a few times from above. It was only after he was repeatedly assured it was safe that he mounted his sword and leisurely flew down, hugging Wang Lingjiao around her waist. The Wen disciples and servants landed shortly after him. Hopefully he's not hunting for anything too hard to handle, Zheng Cheng muttered under his breath. I wonder if there are any other exits to this place. If whatever Yao beast or other fiend is in here goes berserk, those vines are long enough that they might snap. It won't be easy to escape. The others were all thinking the same thing. Worry seized their minds, and they unconsciously looked up at the bright opening of the cave. It looked very small from down here. Wen Chao dismounted his sword and barked at them. What are you all standing there for? Do you need me to teach you what to do? Go! The group of youths were thus driven into the depths of the cave. Since they were scouting ahead, Wen Chao deigned to have his servants give them a few torches. The domed ceiling of the underground cave was high and empty, untouched by the weak light. Wei Wuxian paid close attention to the way sound echoed around them. It seemed the deeper they went, the more cavernous the reverberations sounded. They were probably at least 300 meters underground. The scouts at the front were on high alert, their torches raised high. An unknown amount of time passed before they finally came upon a fathomless lake as vast as any that could be found above ground. The waters were dark and tranquil, and rocky islets of various sizes pockmarked the surface. There was no other path leading out, but even though they were now at a dead end, their night hunt prey hadn't shown itself. They still didn't even know what it was. Heavy clouds of uncertainty loomed over everyone's heads, leaving them tense and on edge. Irritated that the anticipated Yao beast hadn't been found, Wen Chao swore a couple of times. Then, an idea hit him. String someone up overhead! Lure the thing out by spilling their blood! Most Yao beasts had a ravenous lust for blood. The strong, bloody smell of human bait hanging limply overhead would definitely lure out their target. Wang Lingjiao acknowledged his order and immediately pointed at a particular girl. Her, then! It was the girl who had been giving out perfume sachets on the road. Mian Mian. Her face went blank when she was named. The choice appeared to be offhanded, but Wang Lingjiao had been planning and waited for an opportunity for some time. The prominent clans had mostly sent boys, so there were very few young girls here. Wen Chao couldn't help but pay extra attention to them, and especially to Mian Mian, who was pretty. She had already been forced to suffer the pinching and prodding of Wen Chao's slimy hands, powerless to do anything but swallow the humiliation. Wang Lingjiao had witnessed it all and loathed the sight. The realization that she had been chosen as bait really hit her, then. Mian Mian snapped out of it and staggered backward with a terrified expression. When Wen Chao saw who Wang Lingjiao had picked, regret washed over him. He hadn't had the chance to truly taste her yet. Ugh! That one, why don't we choose someone else? But why? Wang Lingjiao whined, sounding aggrieved. I want this one. Do you not want her to be picked? The moment she played the coquette, Wen Chao went weak and giddy with lurid excitement. He took another look at Mian Mian's clothing. She was definitely not a proper clan junior, but a sect disciple at most. She was more than suitable to be bait. Even if she died, no clan worthy of note would raise a fuss. What are you saying? What's there to complain about? Zhao Zhao gets to call the shots. She gets to do whatever her little self wants. Mian Mian knew that once she was strung up, there was almost no chance she'd come back down alive. Panicked, she fled about the cave, but no matter where she tried to flee, the people there would scatter away. Wei Wuxian had barely moved a muscle, but was immediately held down firmly by Zheng Cheng. Suddenly, Mian Mian noticed that there were two disciples who had not backed away from her, but remained steadfastly still. She quickly ran to hide behind them, shaking in fear. Those two disciples were Jin Sizhuan and Lan Wangji. The Wen servants trying to seize Mian Mian saw the two of them clearly didn't intend to move. Step aside, they barked. Lan Wangji's only response was silence and indifference. Noticing the situation turning sour, Wen Chao warned them. What are you two standing there for? Do you not understand human words, or are you trying to save the damsel in distress? Jin Sizhuan raised his eyebrows. Are you done? Was it not enough to have others be your meat shields? Now you want a living person to be your bloody bait? Wei Wuxian was slightly shocked. That Jin Sejuen actually has some guts. Wen Chao pointed at them accusingly. Is this a revolt? I'm warning you. I've tolerated you for a long time. Take action immediately. Truss that girl up. Otherwise, no one your clan sent along with you will be going home. Hi, Elliot. Thank you so much for being a member for 9 months. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Elliot says, hi, Kictor. Hope you've been having a good day today. Thank you. I am having a good day. I'm having a lot of fun reading. This scene is quite juicy. Scary and juicy. I hope you're having a good day too. Thank you so much for being a member. You are, yes, you are a baby. Jin Sejuen sneered and didn't move a muscle. Lamoji also acted as if he had heard nothing, as tranquil as if he were in a meditative state. However, there was a sect disciple from the Land Clan of Gusu who had been trembling as he listened to Wen Chao's threats. This guy's such a bitch. Unable to endure any longer, he charged over and seized Mian Mian to bind her. Before he could succeed, Lamoji's brow furrowed sharply and he struck out with his palm. That single strike sent the boy hurtling away. Although Lamoji did not speak a single word, the look he gave that sect disciple projected immense power in itself, and its meaning was more than obvious. It is truly a disgrace that the Land Clan of Gusu has a sect disciple such as you. The sect disciple's shoulders were shaking as he slowly backed away, powerless to meet any of the eyes staring at him from all around. Wei Wuxian whispered to Zheng Cheng, Geez, Lanjan's temper is gonna get him in trouble. Zheng Cheng clenched his fists. There was probably no staying out of this situation at this point. It was delusional to hope that no blood would be shed. Lamoji is like, bro, you're fired. Wen Chao flew into a rage. This is mutiny! Kill them both! A number of Wen sect disciples drew their shining swords and charged at Lamoji and Jin Sejuen. All the while, core-melting hand Wen Julio stood motionless behind Wen Chao with his hands clasped behind his back, as if he thought he didn't need to participate, which was essentially true. The fight was few against many, and the boys had no weapons. They were at a disadvantage in the first place, and terribly exhausted by endless toil to boot. Furthermore, Lamoji was injured. They wouldn't last long. Leo, lol. Wen Chao's mood lifted as he watched his subordinates fight the pair. He clicked his tongue. Who do they think they are, defying me? People like that deserve death. Yeah, a voice laughed cheekily. Those who abuse their family's influence in order to oppress others and boldly commit crimes all deserve death. And not just death, beheading, with their heads put on display to be cursed by millions, serving as a warning to future generations. Upon hearing this, Wen Chao whirled around. What did you say? Do you need me to repeat myself? Wei Wuxian looked astonished. All right then. Those who abuse their family's influence in order to oppress others and boldly commit crimes all deserve death. And not just death, beheading, with their heads put on display to be cursed at by millions, serving as a warning to future generations. Did you catch it this time? Wen Julio shot Wei Wuxian a pensive look. Wen Chao, on the other, was simply outraged. What a load of crap! You dare utter such treasonous, arrogant nonsense? Wei Wuxian's lip curled upward, and he snorted before bursting into insolent laughter. Under the shocked and dumbfounded gaze of everyone around, he leaned on Zheng Cheng's shoulder for support as he laughed so hard he couldn't catch his breath. A load of crap! Treasonous! I think that describes you perfectly! Wen Chao, do you know who said those words? You must not, so let me help you out. That was straight from the mouth of your clan's founder, the hugely renowned cultivator Wen Mao. Denouncing your ancestors' famous quote as a load of crap. I can't believe it! Treasonous! What a roast! So good! Ha ha ha! That book had been forced on them, quintessential records and quotable characters of the illustrious Wen, treated even the most mundane small talk of the Wen family with bloated and ponderous importance, and dissected the deeper meaning of each word at length. Never mind memorizing the text well enough to recite from memory, just flipping through a couple of pages had left Wei Wuxian disgusted. But he'd found that particular quote from Wen Mao incredibly ironic, so he remembered it clearly. Wen Chao's face was awash in various colors as Wei Wuxian continued to speak. Oh right, what was the exact sentence for the crime of insulting a famous Wen cultivator? What was the punishment again? To be killed without mercy, I think? Very good. You can go die now. Wen Chao couldn't hold back any longer. He lunged, brandishing his sword, and in doing so, left the range of Wen Julio's protection. Makayo says, I love his malicious compliance. Yeah, literally. B, did you catch it this time? Is so wild. Right? Wei Wuxian he's so catty. Wen Julio had only ever been on the defensive, guarding against others' attacks on Wen Chao. He'd never expected Wen Chao to actually make a move on his own, and now that he had, the attack was too sudden for him to respond in time. B says OG rage baiter, truly. Wei Wuxian, meanwhile, had purposely incensed Wen Chao in order to make him lose control. The smile on his lips never faded as he snatched Wen Chao's sword with his lightning-quick hands. In one fell swoop, he countered the attack and restrained Wen Chao. With Wen Chao in his grip, Wei Wuxian put some distance between himself and Wen Julio by taking a hop, skip, and a jump to one of the lake's rock islets. He pressed the purloined sword against Wen Chao's neck and warned all present, "Nobody move. Move and I'll spill some of your Wen Gongs's blood." "Stop moving!" Wen Chao screeched heartbreakingly, as loud as he could. "All of you, stop moving!" Only then did the Wen disciples surrounding Mdzs and Jin Sizhuan stop their attacks. "Core melting hand. Don't think about moving either," Wei Wuxian barked. "You all know what a nasty temper your family head has. Your young master's at my mercy. He just needs to bleed one drop of blood for everyone here to be as good as dead, and that includes you." Sure enough, Wen Julio withdrew his hand. Seeing the situation was now under control, Wei Wuxian was about to say more, but suddenly, he felt the ground shaking. "Zheng-Cheng!" he cried in alarm. "Is it an earthquake?" They were in an underground cave. If the earth began to quake and the mountain collapsed, the cave mouth might be blocked off, or they might be buried alive. Either scenario was horrifying to consider. And yet, Zheng-Cheng shouted back, "No!" Even so, Wei Wuxian felt the ground shaking harder. The jolts made the blade of the sword bump Wei Chao's throat several times, prompting his horrible shrieking. "It's not the ground shaking," Zheng-Cheng yelled to him. "It's that thing under your feet!" Wei Wuxian had noticed, too. The tremors didn't come from the ground, but from the rock islet he had landed on. And not only was it shaking, it was rising higher and higher, more and more of it breaking through the surface of the water. He finally realized that this wasn't an islet. It was a massive creature that had been lurking submerged in the deep waters, and he was currently standing on its back. The rock islet moved speedily towards the shore. The approach of the... Put turtles in the chat! Turtles in the chat! The approach of the unknown Yao beast brought with it its formless dread. Only a handful of those present stood firm, among them Mdzs, Jin Sizhuan, Zheng-Cheng, Wen Julio, and a few others. The rest reeled backwards, scrambling away. But just as they thought the thing under the water was about to erupt from the lake, it stopped. Wei Wuxian didn't dare move carelessly, since jumping onto its back had roused the Yao beast from its deep slumber. He held his ground, waiting quietly to see what would happen. Oh, the turtle in the chat is so cute. Several red maple leaves, unusually vivid in color, floated leisurely past them on the surface of the pitch-black waters surrounding the rock islet. Below those leaves, deep in the black depths, something gleamed like a pair of brass mirrors. The pair of brass mirrors grew bigger and bigger, closer and closer. "Oh no," Wei Wuxian cried mentally and dragged Wen Chao back a couple of steps. There was a sudden tremor beneath his feet, and the rock islet rose high into the air. A humongous, swarthy head broke through the water's leaf-speckled surface. With screams of alarm, both high and low, echoing around it, the Yao beast slowly twisted its neck and fixed its huge eyes on the two humans on its back. Its round head was very odd-looking, almost a turtle, nearly a snake. The head made it seem more like a python, but its body, which was now mostly out of the water, was more like that of a... What? A giant tortoise! Wei Wuxian gaped. This was no ordinary tortoise. If this tortoise had crashed into the drilling grounds of Lotus Pier, its shell alone could have filled the entire martial arts arena. 3 strong men couldn't have encircled its dark head. The 3 men! The 3 fucking men! The 3... For all... There are 3 men, and it is their only job is to measure the width of things, and it's the same 3 men. Ordinary tortoises didn't have such an incomparably long serpentine neck that twisted like a jowl from its shell, nor a mouth that teemed with snaggled, yellowing fangs. Oh, I love the word snaggle. They also lacked 4 agile-looking feet tipped with sharp claws. Wei Wuxian calmly met the gaze of that big pair of golden eyes. Their pupils contracted into thin slits, then flickered outward and thinned again, as if the beast was trying to focus and get a better look at what exactly was on its back. It seemed this Yao beast had poor vision, like a snake. As long as they didn't move, it wouldn't be able to detect them. Suddenly, someone's on my back. I can't see very well though, but I'm pretty sure someone's on my back. Suddenly, 2 streams of wet air spewed from the dark, empty nostrils of the Yao beast. The maple leaves that had been flowing in the water just so happened to be stuck near its nose, and it was probably the tickling of those little leaves that had made it snort. You are not my mother, you are a snort. Wei Wuxian remained still as a statue, but even this minor movement from the beast terrified Wen Chao. He knew the creature was bloodthirsty, so when it suddenly breathed out, he thought it was going to go berserk. No longer caring that a sword was right at his neck, he struggled like crazy and shrieked at Wen Julio standing on the shore. Why aren't you coming to my rescue? Come save me now! What are you standing there for? 3 men do have 6 balls. Kate, I think you're onto something there. Xavian says anything to not use the metric system. Good night, Sienna! The 3 men are Hua Cheng, Lo Binghe, and Lam Wonqi. Girl math. Zheng Cheng gritted his teeth and cursed, "Idiot!" One of the 2 strange things before the Yao beast's eyes suddenly started twisting like a worm and making ear-piercing noises. This instantly upset the creature, and its snake-like head snapped backward before springing forward again. It bared its snaggled yellow-black fangs and lunged at its own back. Wei Wuxian hurled Wen Chao's sword. It shot like an arrow towards the beast's neck, aimed at the spot where a snake's heart should be. Oh, today I learned where a snake's heart should be. However, the head was armored in its tough black scales. The blade impacted with a metallic clang, leaving a streak of sparks as if it had hit a steel plate before it finally dropped into the water. The Yao beast seemed taken aback, its giant eyeballs rolling downward to regard the long, slim object whose glow was still visible even as it sank deeper and deeper. Using this chance, Wei Wuxian grabbed Wen Chao and pushed off into the air, leaping to land on another rock islet. This poor turtle's just like, I don't know what's happening, but something is happening. Oh, brother. Using this chance, Wei Wuxian grabbed Wen Chao and pushed off into the air, leaping to land on another rock islet. This had better not be another giant tortoise, Wei Wuxian thought. Watch your back! Wei Wuxian suddenly heard Zheng Cheng shout. Core Melting Hand is heading your way! Wei Wuxian whipped around and saw a large pair of hands coming silently at him. He's just this dude, just is like walking towards people like I'm gonna get you! He reflexively struck out with a palm to counter Wen Julio's attack, but felt an unusually forceful, dismal energy wash over him, as if something was about to be sucked out of his arm. He instinctively withdrew his hand, and Wen Julio used the opportunity to grab Wen Chao and retreat back to shore. Wei Wuxian cursed under his breath and quickly jumped to shore as well. Every Wen clan disciple had their bows. Jeez. Every Wen clan disciple had their bows drawn, and they aimed at the Yao beast as they backed away. Arrows flew like rain, clinking and clanking as they struck the beast's black scales and shell. Sparks flew. While it looked like an intense battle, it was futile. Not a single arrow hit a vital point. All they managed to do was give the Yao beast a good scratch. The massive head swung back and forth, even setting aside the scales. Its skin was like black rock, full of bumps and hollows. If an arrow did hit the skin, it couldn't penetrate far. Wei Wuxian noticed that one of the Wen disciples next to him was gasping for breath as he knocked another arrow onto the bow. He pulled with all his might, but still couldn't draw it fully. Unable to stand it any longer, Wei Wuxian wrested the bow from him and kicked the disciple aside. There were 3 arrows left in the quiver, and he knocked all 3 at once, pulling the bow to full draw as he aimed. The bowstring creaked at his ear, but just as he was about to release it, an alarmed cry suddenly came from behind him. It was a truly panicked scream. When Wei Wuxian looked over, Wang Lingjiao was giving orders to 3 servants. Two of them wrestled Mian Mian and held her head still for the third, who was aiming at a branding iron at her face. The tip of the iron rod was sizzling, already glowing red with heat. Wei Wuxian was some distance away, but the moment he saw this sight, he took action, changing his aim and releasing the bowstring. The 3 arrows shot out at once and hit the 3 targets, who collapsed backwards without so much of a grunt. The bowstring hadn't even stopped quivering when Wanglingzhou suddenly snatched up the brandishing iron that had fallen to the ground. She lunged forward and grabbed Mian Mian by the hair, aiming the rod at her face once more. Wanglingzhou's cultivation was extremely low, but her movements were swift and venomous. If she succeeded, even Mian Mian didn't lose an eye. Her looks would be ruined for life. At a dire time like this, when their very lives were in peril, that woman was still obsessed with hurting people. The other disciples were also knocking their arrows, completely focused on confronting the Yao beast. There was no one else near the 2 girls, and Wei Wuxian was out of arrows, with no time to grab more. He rushed over and struck heavily at the hand with which Wanglingzhou gripped Mian Mian's hair, while simultaneously striking heavily at her heart. The strike landed hard and hit home. Blood gushed from Wanglingzhou's mouth as she was sent flying backwards. However, the tip of the branding iron had already been pressed to Wei Wuxian's chest. He was assaulted by the stench of scorched cloth and flesh, and the horrifying smell of cooked meat. There was an excruciating pain near his heart, just below his collarbone. He gritted his teeth hard, but couldn't hold back the snarl that escaped his throat from the agonizing pain. He hadn't pulled his punches at all. His strike had sent Wanglingzhou flying, spewing blood as she soared. She started wailing the moment she crashed into the ground. Zheng Zheng wound up and was about to chop Wangzhou's head with his hand when Wen Chao started shrieking madly, "Zhao Zhao! Zhao Zhao! Quick, save Zhao Zhao!" Wen Julio's brow wrinkled, but he made no comment. He swiftly leapt over, fought Zheng Zheng off, and returned with Wanglingzhou dangling from one hand. He tossed her at Wen Chao's feet. Wanglingzhou threw herself into Wen Chao's arms, yowling at the top of her lungs and coughing blood all the while. Zheng Zheng caught up with them and faced Wen Julio. Wen Chao saw his frightening expression, both eyes bloodshot, and that all the other disciples were thrown into the chaos. Not to mention the fact that the enormous Yao beast had finally set its left front claw onto the lake shore. Now Wen Chao finally felt fear. "Withdraw! Withdraw!" he cried out. "Withdraw immediately!" His subordinates had been struggling to hang on, not so patiently, waiting for their great leader to call for retreat. As soon as they heard the command, they mounted their swords and flew off. Wen Chao's sword had been thrown into the water by Wei Wuxian, so he snatched one from another and hopped on with Wanglingzhou in his arms. He immediately shot off with a whoosh, disappearing without a trace. The Wen servants and disciples followed closely after him. "Stop the fight!" Jin Sizhuan barked. "Let's go!" The group of disciples had no desire to stick around and fight this rock mountain of a beast. They dashed like mad back to the cave's opening, but when they arrived, they saw the vine they had used to climb down was coiled on the ground like a dead snake. Jin Sizhuan flew into a rage. "Shameless damn crooks! They cut the vine!" Without the vine, there was no way they could climb up the steep earthen wall. The opening was over 100 meters above their heads, and the daylight that winked down at them blinded their eyes. The next moment, the light was extinguished by half, like a tiango eating the moon. And that is a mythical creature that resembles a black dog. It is thought to eat the sun or moon during a solar or lunar eclipse. "They're blocking the hole!" someone exclaimed in alarm. As soon as he said so, the remaining half of the light was snuffed out. Trapped deep underground, the only light that remained came from the burning torches that illuminated the lost, confused, and speechless young faces. It was a good moment before Jin Sizhuan's cursing shattered the dead silence. "Those cheaters really went and did it!" "It's okay if we can't get out," one of the boys mumbled. "My father and mother will come find me. When they hear of this, they'll definitely come search for us here." A scattered few agreed, but someone else immediately replied, voice trembling. "They still think we're being educated in Qishan. Why would they come look for us? Besides, the Wens won't tell people the truth after they ran off. They'll definitely fabricate some excuse. We'll have no choice but to stay down here. We can only stay in this underground cave without food, in the company of a Yao beast." At that moment, Zheng Zheng slowly walked over, supporting Wei Wuxian as he went. They just happened to catch the "without food" remark, and so Wei Wuxian had to add to his commentary. "Zheng Zheng, I got a chunk of cooked meat right here. You want it?" "Screw off! Not even that branding iron could kill you," Zheng Zheng berated. "Is this really the time for your nonsense? You have no idea how badly I want to sew your mouth shut." Lan Wangji's light-colored eyes fell on them. Then his gaze moved to Mian Mian. She was following Zheng Zheng and Wei Wuxian, looking at a loss. Her face was scrunched up and stained with tears, and her hands twisted in her skirt as she sniffled, sobbed, and repeatedly uttered apologies. Wei Wuxian covered his ears and sighed. "Can you please stop crying? I'm the one who got burned, not you. Do you want me to comfort you? Why don't you comfort me instead? Pretty please?" All right, Jungchang, that's enough of you hauling me around. It's not like I broke a leg. The girls present all surrounded Mian Mian and wept along with her. Withdrawing his gaze, Lan Wangji doubled back in the direction of the lake. Lanar Gongzo, where are you going? Jungchang asked. That Yao beast is still guarding the lake. I am returning to the lake, Lan Wangji replied. A way out lies there. When the others heard there was a way out to get out of here, the weeping abruptly stopped. A way out? Wei Wuxian asked. There are maple leaves in the water, Lan Wangji stated. Ooh, that's the end of that part. Oh my gosh, that was so good. The action was so exciting and like you really care about what's going on, and the thing with the leaves was like teased so early on that you when it's brought up you're like, oh yeah, that was weird. Like you think she's just describing the scenery, but actually it's going to be the way out. Super exciting. Wei Wuxian really has no filter, truly. Oh, that was good. That was fun. Emma, thank you so much for your donation. Ooh, explaining the three-man thing. San three ren people bow to wrap one's arm around to describe the girth of a tree trunk. It's not an idiom, it's just used as a way to measure how big something is. Interesting. Huh. I'm gonna think about that. I need to gather 3 men, and I need them to all put their arms out, so I can really imagine how big. The next time I see my guy friends, I will post a picture. I will post a picture. We will go find a tree and see if they can put their arms around it. Amy says, I'm calling them the Measure Men. Oh my god. Shani says, imagine Wei Yang up at night after hearing the story of a giant dog eating the sun. Oh fuck, you're right. Oh my god. Emma, thanks for writing out that explanation. That's cool. Measure one of the giant ass trees in Vancouver. Yeah, we have the like redwoods, right? Oh my god. My next YouTube video. It's the Danmei ball. How big is the Danmei ball, and how wide is the 3 men that measure the Danmei trees? It's not pi, it's 3 men. The next video is just called Danmei measurements. Everyone's gonna think it's about dicks, but it's not. It's about the girth of trees. Oh yeah, and the baby wrist. We got 3 men, baby wrist, and a ball. 3 men, a baby wrist, and a ball walk into a bar. Yeah, see, like, if it's the Friesen measuring it, I don't think Jingguan Yao's got quite the impressive wingspan. Let's just say that much. Might need 2 Jingguan Yaos. I've got a really big wingspan. That could be a pretty big tree. Niming makes up for what Jingguan Yao lacks. Nice. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go feed my little doggies. If you guys have a picky dog, I've discovered a new hack. There's this stuff called toppers that you can get to put on your dog food, and it's literally just beef and rosemary extract, and it's for dogs, and you just put a teaspoon of it on top of their food, and they eat it. It's fucking crazy. Because we have our little Shibas, and they literally switch up. They don't want to eat their food. They'll go on a hunger strike, and this gets them to eat their food. Kate says, does that work for picky toddlers? Maybe you could try something else before the dog topper food, but I think it's just beef and rosemary, so I don't think it would be toxic for humans to eat, but, you know. When is the next Everyday is Everyday? Ooh, it's probably, I'm not sure if it could be on the weekend, but I won't be able to do it tomorrow or Thursday. And Friday's game night. So maybe the weekend, but most likely Monday. All right. Don't forget to say subscribe, etc. Oh yeah, please subscribe and click like on the stream. It helps out my channel, and consider joining my YouTube membership. That helps out my channel so much, and you'll be able to join a community where we play games every Friday, and they're all Danmei related games, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!